Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another True You podcast with me, Paula Burns, wedding planner and creative business mentor. And this is the place where we have open discussions to understand who we are in order that we can live our lives to the fullest. So I'm here again with another fabulous guest, and every week I like to bring really interesting people to the table to talk about their lives and how they're living their true lives. A lot of the times, maybe they might be working in that area of work where they're helping other people be their true selves as well. But sometimes they're just sharing their life's journey and hopefully inspiring you to do the same. So I'm going to get straight into it because I've got something a little bit different today, because normally I have female guests on the show, but I have a male guest on the show with me today. And I'm going to try and make sure that I get his name right. So I'm going to introduce him now to you all. So I'm really pleased to have you on the show. Welcome, Tassos Kotzias. How are you?
Perfect. Amazing, Paula. Thank you for the introduction. It's a real pleasure being here with you. Thank you for hosting me. Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to have this podcast with you, and let's see what comes out of it. We have to be open to the unknown, right? Sometimes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really pleased to have you on the podcast as well. So let's just start off by just sharing, if you could share with everyone, what is it that you do?
Yeah, among other things. But just kidding and joking aside, yes, I'm focused in holistic coaching. So I've been trained and qualified in the US in a holistic training institute, holistic coaching training institute, right, for the last years. And I'm a full-time holistic coach where I support specifically women. And thank you for inviting me to a show that you say that usually have female guests,
yes.
right?
I think it's because you serve women as well. You're perfect for this show.
Exactly. So I try to support women executives and women business owners specifically that they really struggle in their everyday lives to manage their work requirements, their career goals, professional goals with their personal life and with their family life. Because we've noticed, and we all know really that this is a big issue, in the society right now, how a woman can really prove what she's capable of professionally, and at the same time have the balance and the harmony needed to be able, to be happy with her family, to be there for the family, to be present for the family, for the social activities, for her husband, for her family, overall relationships, and everything that's required, everything that it's required by her actually, from the other people. Because it's a very challenging task.
It's a lot of juggling, isn't it? For women,
Yes.
Specifically, we feel like we have to be there for everyone. And we put so much pressure on ourselves because, it's like, we're the center of it all, just to make sure it's all working.
Yes, true. I have, and if I may add something on that it corresponds and it relates to what you said about the true self and about how to be happy in our lives. This is a very challenging part because, the women by nature, I would say in a big part, right, in a big percent by nature, they're willing and they are eager and they want to give everything. They want to give everything to others, to the family, to the kids, to other people, to give everything that they have. But unfortunately, many times this drains them, this burns them out. Right. So here we are today to try to see what are the strategies, maybe, or tactics, or we can have an open discussion to see how we can cope with this, on this daily basis, and to be as practical as possible, because it's important to be practical and not just talk about, theory, or just talk about in general.
Yes. Yeah. And, because of that, what happens is that women sometimes then get taken for granted, because if you are being all things to all men and you're doing everything continually, consistently, everyone begins to expect it. And so that's even more pressure on us as individuals, because we've sort of made that we've made the problem for ourselves, haven't we?
True. And, the negative side of it is that sometimes also we get blamed for that. I mean, women get blamed for that. Right. And I used we because, I talk to so many women every day.
Yes.
Sometimes I get really into their shoes, I get in, and of course I have my wife as well, which goes through the same.
Yeah.
So it is really the case that sometimes even with the women sacrifice a lot of themselves. Maybe they don't take care of themselves as they should, because they give too much time to the others, to the family, and to their career, and to the other people around. They forget about themselves, and still sometimes they get a blame.
Yes, exactly.
For not doing things good. And this is really, really, really a challenging situation, a really difficult situation.
It is. It's almost as if you feel like you're on the back foot already when you start to work with women, because it's really hard to sort of like you have to then get them to a point where they're ready to get some support and get some help and to think about life in a different way. Because sometimes you're so close to it and you're so, involved in it that you can't see a way out.
True. This is a big truth, because all of us, either women or men, most of the time we don't have the self-awareness where we are. What do we really need?
Yes.
What do we really want to achieve? So why? Because a lot of times there's a misconnection with our values. There's a misconnection with our spiritual life, the spiritual self. There's a misconnection with our true self, with our authentic self. Right. So this is why we find ourselves most of the times in that space that we don't know really what we can give, what we can offer to the community, to the society, to this planet, or to this earth, whatever, depending on the spiritual path of everyone. And then, but that also depends on the stage of life of many people. So there's a lot of it varies from person to person, from self-awareness to self-awareness, and and also the curiosity, if I may add, curiosity of every person.
What is it that you love about what you do?
Oh, I love very much to see the transformation, to see really the transformation that makes me extremely happy and extremely grateful that I'm into this holistic coaching space, because I can really see the transformation for women when they start working with me, or even just by maybe one session, or just a discussion for half an hour. Sometimes miracles happen when you see someone ending in a coaching session, and all of a sudden they are completely different people. They're happier, they're calmer, all of a sudden they have much clarity, they've gained clarity on what they want to achieve. So this gives me great satisfaction. This is really my inner, let's say, motivation, my self-motivation, that really I want to go to the call, I want to listen, and I want to understand how I can support and how I can help this individual that I have in front of me.
And that's why it's you living your true self, because you can tell you're so passionate about helping others, and it feels like this is where you're supposed to be, and this is what you're supposed to be doing in your life. With my mentoring, when I work with female business owners, because again, it is dealing with this whole thing about finding your true self. I always start with them, because it's always important to understand, as you say, who are they as an individual before they start thinking about their business, because I'm there to sort of like support them and help them with their business. But I think it's important that they've got to start with them first. Who are you? What do you want? Before you think about the business, what do you want for your life? So yeah, that's really important. I want to ask you now, I want to sort of take you back. I always ask this question of my guests. What was your childhood like? Because I always feel like when we talk about our childhood and where we come from, what that journey was like, it sort of has some sort of effect on what our life is right now. So tell us a little bit about your childhood.
Yes, I would totally agree. And you know what? I made this connection in the recent years with a coaching profession of mine, and especially the target audience and my my market, let's say my niche market, to help and support women in this space, because I lost my father when I was like 1 year old. So basically, I never met my father, only by photos.
Right.
So I got to grow up. I got to grow up in a family with my mother and my sister.
Right.
2 years older.
Yeah.
So I think subconsciously, without me understanding this brought me closer to the responsibility of taking care of the family.
Yes.
And taking care of my mother and my sister.
Yeah.
While growing up. But I had never realized this before. I had not realized this before a few years ago. With the coaching now, coming into the holistic coaching space and starting opening up and going myself also through coaching and mentoring, then it clicked me. And I said, look, so it's a very great question that you asked me, because I find really the connection on that, with my childhood years, that I grew up in a family of basically two women that I had to take care of. So I had to understand exactly. Yeah. I had to understand how they think, how they feel, what are their emotions, how I can be there for them or not. And I cannot say that I was successful all the time. No way at all. Sometimes I was not successful at all, but slowly, year by year, growing up and studying and being curious, as I said before, I'm coming closer to the level of the empathy, the level of compassion, the level of, understanding much, much deeper what a modern woman goes through.
Yes, absolutely. So I love that sort of connection that you've shared, that about, how you were growing up and seeing how the females in your family were navigating through things. And as you say, you don't normally think about this until it only sort of occurred to you quite recently, the connection of what you do now to how you grew up, because you got that close with it, So what did you do in terms of a career then? Because you haven't, when did you get into what you're doing now? What were some of the steps?
Yes, so I spent around 25 years in corporate environment, first of all. So I was a manager, in a multinational, also in a big...
I did that as well. Also, we all fall into that trap.
Exactly. I had my master's degree, my MBA degree in the US, and also in France and in Asia. It was an amazing experience. And then I got into these corporate multinational environments, in also big Greek companies. Had the opportunity, of course, to travel and enjoy, by working hard, but at least at the same time enjoy. And after these 25 years, I said, okay, this kind of corporate career, it's enough for me. Mm-hmm. I had enough. And I realized that during this career, I had a lot of women coming to me, a lot of female colleagues coming to me. And they were like asking me for things, personal things and professional things, about their careers, about their family, about how they can cope with things, that. And again, I was not realizing this back then because I didn't know anything about coaching, right? You were talking now 15 years ago, right?
It was just natural.
So it was quite natural for me, to just guide them, give them some advice, maybe asking them, being curious about their issues, about the problems, the challenges they face. And it was a quite natural and interesting discussions. And then this slowly it shifted, especially when the last year here in Qatar, it shifted a lot. And this is how I got curious on the coaching space. And this brought me, I have a lot of other experience, of course, that brought me specifically to the holistic coaching space, which is something very, very particular and very close to my heart. And not just general life coaching or just general or executive coaching or career coaching, etc. Right? Because holistic coaching addresses all 4 different levels of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Yes. Yeah. I've connected with a few coaches like that, especially, as guests on this show, where we've talked about, because I'm very passionate about the spiritual side of it, because we are more than just what you see. We are more than just this. You know, we all have a soul, a heart, the inner voice, all of that gets neglected so often. And so, you know, for coaches like yourself, I think it's just so important that is brought more, you know, into the limelight, so to speak, that people are more aware that there is more to them than just them, than just
Yeah,
physically.
this is 100% correct what you're saying, and appreciate that. Appreciate you sharing this. I just wanted to make a comment here. Before you mentioned about the who we are, right? So in coaching, there is a very specific diagram, right? Which is basically the vertical axis, the who, and the horizontal axis, the what.
Yeah, yeah.
So in order to be fully balanced, the two axes should follow and should merge in a perfect diagonal straight line.
Okay.
If this is perfect, then that means that you have the perfect balance between who you are, what your values are, what your feelings are, what your emotions are, how you address, how you see things in your life, how you see yourself in this life, right? And on an everyday basis, not just theoretically. Okay. Yeah. And the what axis is basically, what do I want to achieve? Since if I know who I am, what do I want to achieve to be happy?
Yes. Yeah.
So this is a very interesting correlation between the who and the what. And if we can have these on an everyday basis in our back of our minds, it can help us a lot making the right decisions, taking decisions that really promote us and advance us and grow us as people, as souls, as you said, as hearts, as individuals, as energetic creatures, if I can say that, right? Because energy is also a big part of all this. So it's a very interesting approach for the holistic coaching, the who and the what. And I use this a lot in my coaching sessions with my clients to really identify the who and the what, so that they can have a perfect balance and a perfect harmony and be happy on their decisions, on their everyday things that they are engaged with.
Yeah. And even if the things of life tend to try and take us over, and I think that's probably where you get that pushback, where sometimes people, you know, women especially, well, how can I get out of this rat race? How can I change? You know, there's just so much that I'm responsible for. If I stop doing this, it's all going to fall apart. And I mean, you know, I'm sure you get women who say that. What's your answer to that?
Yes, which happens to all of us, not only women. It happens to all of us, you know, at the specific stage of in our life or specific phase in our life, because maybe we go through, let's say, divorce, maybe go through a physical accident, maybe we go through an illness, maybe go through a separation with our children. Even that, imagine we're growing up, you know, and all of a sudden our children become 18, 19, 20 years old and they leave the family. This separation anxiety immediately can bring us to the negative side, not being happy, you know, or going to this kind of maybe like depression or whatever. So all of us can go through this through these phases.
Yeah.
So it's as we say sometimes, you know, you go into the rabbit hole, and then you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and deeper. Exactly, and it's very difficult sometimes to take out. This is where we need this kind of support, and we need to
yes, absolutely,
yes, this kind of support, and we need to just gain the clarity that there are options. For me, I think this is the reply, the answer to your question. It's that we can get the clarity and that we can have options. Yes, once we understand that we have the option in our hands,
always have options. Always.
Exactly. Then it's like 50% of the action to understand that we have the option in our hands.
Yeah. You've had quite a journey, and I like listening to the, you know, what it was for you as a child, then growing up, and then, you know, the journey being in corporate, going through that whole experience, having women asking for help, and then you doing that inadvertently, and then moving into the coaching circle and the holistic side. Life is a journey, right? And
Isn't it?
You know, again, you know, I share this with my clients all the time. It's not something that happens overnight. You know, sometimes people will see other people doing, you know, something that they're really passionate about, and they see, it's one of those phrases that I dislike, where people say it's all right for you, you know, you can do this, and you can do, you've got this skill, that skill, and people don't realize that it's a journey. You know, I didn't just wake up one morning and become a creative business mentor. You know, I went through a journey. You know, I was very, very quiet when I was a child. Didn't say boo to a goose, and I spent so much of my time in my own company, and that's where my creativity came from, because I spent so much time in my own company. Books, writing, being creative, all of that stuff. My imagination was just huge. So that's where it all came and started for me in terms of creativity. And then moving into the corporate world, because that was what was expected. But then in my spare time, I did a lot of creative stuff. I sang in a band. I did amateur dramatics.
Nice.
You know, it was just, you know, all of these sort of things that was me. And then you get to the point where you make the decision, I need to do something that's more me. And, you know, I got into events, weddings, and then it naturally progressed into, you know, also doing the creative business mentoring for small businesses. So yeah, the journey is so important to realize that life is a journey, you know.
You're a multi-talented. I applaud that. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Did you, I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
Was there a time that you felt like, because I think we all go through this at some point, but sometimes there might be something significant that you felt that you lost your way. Was there a time in your life that you felt that you lost your way?
Yes.
And just had to, you know, take stock?
Yes, 100%. There was one, and it was when we decided to come as a family here in Qatar, because this is what, for me, I consider like a disruption on one hand.
Yeah.
Which, because from when I was 18-year-old entering the university until 42, 43-year-old before moving here to Qatar, my life professionally and personally was like really like a rocket. You know, it was really like a flow, continuous flow, easy flow.
Yeah.
Easy flow, meaning psychologically and emotionally, it was an easy flow. You know, I didn't have any challenges, neither physical nor emotional, no spiritual, no challenges at all for these years. All of a sudden, when we decided to move, because I had to say, and of course my wife knows that, I have to say that I followed my wife here in Qatar because she got a great job offer here.
Yeah.
And I just quit my job in a very good position in the corporate world and all that.
Yeah.
You know, as a man as well, at the same time, my ego was a little bit hurt.
Yeah.
I did that for the family. I did that because I saw an opportunity potentially for myself, you know, in a new country, doing different things, you know, relocation and all these. But it was not easy in the beginning at all. I had to stay back home. I had to take care of my son while my wife started working from day one when we arrived here. When we arrived here, it was a very challenging environment for her. She had to work 10, 12, 15 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to stay back with the family, with my son, etc. So this was for me, a big disruption.
Yes.
And then all of these feelings of, you know, lower self-esteem, of, you know, of maybe, okay, what I'm doing here. I've sent, imagine back then, literally around 500 CVs to local companies, local organizations, and I wouldn't even get a phone call. Can you imagine? Or an email.
Was difficult.
It was destroying completely my my psychology and my, you know, let's say my mental strength at the same time, you know, my resilience.
Yeah.
Because it was completely like, you know, like non-accepting that I was feeling that no one would accept me. And I was, you know, I was a commercial director. I was a general manager in the corporate world. I had high position, very good packages, money and all that. Fine, all these. But then all of a sudden, a huge disruption. However, and this is the good part here, right? The happy story, right? If this hadn't happened, I wouldn't be most probably in a holistic space, coaching
This
space.
is what I was just going to say. I was
Yes.
going to say it was your making, it was your disruption
Yes.
that, you know, and I read something recently, somebody shared something on social media, and I can't remember the exact words, but it was like, when you're being moved into the space that you're supposed to go to, the actual space that you're supposed to be, there's a disruption and there's an uneasiness and there's all this sort of like stuff going on. And then all of a sudden it all settles because it
Yes.
all those pieces find their space. But you've got to have that disruption because it's like you said, in your life before, everything was swimmingly, easily going along. You didn't have any challenges, no anything. But could you say, I mean, you know, if I ask you this question now, did you feel fulfilled? You know, at that time when everything was going swimmingly, or, you know, you were just living life and every day, just going through, was it a fulfilled life for you like it is now?
Yeah, it was fulfilled for the time being, let's
Yeah,
say, for back then, because
yeah.
I didn't have the inner understanding, and I didn't have
Mm,
I didn't have the spiritual curiosity back
that
then,
is true.
right?
Yes.
To reply to the question, who am I? You see?
Yes. Yeah. So you think you're okay. You
Exactly,
think you're
exactly,
okay.
exactly. And it's I relate perfectly with what you said before. Yes, I relate 100% that we have to go. I think we have to go through this disruption in
Mm,
our lives, one way or another, even if it can be painful or if it can be
mm,
hard, or even if we struggle with it, in order to really settle, as you nicely said, settle everything down, and
mm,
then come out as a transformed person, and as a
mm,
transformed, being, and as transforming, personality, character, or whatever, to continue our life journey
mm.
for what we are supposed to be in the first place.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's we're always, I feel that everyone has that space of who they're supposed to be. And it's we whether we know it or not, when you realize that you have to find that space and you find that space, it just feels like you've come home.
Yeah.
You're there. You're home. And not everyone can understand that, which leads me into my next question.
Mhm.
Um, how were people around you when you decided to move into this field? You know, was that difficult for you to do, or you know, was there that, because a lot of the times, like, voices around us can discourage us, so we can be going down a certain path and we know that this feels right for us, but then there's people around us, or our voices in our heads will tell us,
Yes.
oh well, you know, maybe this isn't the right thing, maybe I should go
Yeah.
back to what I know. You know, how was that for you when you
Yes.
moved into this space?
So fortunately, there is no self-doubt,
Yeah,
because I really feel that this is the path for me and this is my mission.
yeah,
So there's no self-doubt. I agree with what you're saying, that yes, people around you, maybe they are, what you're going to be going to coaching, but you were a manager, you were at
yeah,
these, you were that, you were doing this, you were doing that, So what is how coaching is related to that, and what is this holistic coaching thing
yeah. I
that you're
know.
doing?
What is it? It's all very fluffy. Nobody really
Yes,
knows
yes.
anything
And
about it.
exactly, and still people cannot really relate or cannot really understand, right? Then it's really on a personal basis for each one, you know, how let's say eager they are to learn, or how curious they are to learn more, discover more things,
Mm,
and understand what this is and how this can help them as well. Fortunately, in my family and in my social circle, most of them, my friends and my relatives, were very encouraging. They were very
that's
supportive, and they
good.
were like, "Yes, it suits you, it fits you, it goes with your personality, it matches the way you talk, it matches the way you communicate with people. We think that you can be successful." So this gives me, like, positive energy and
Yeah.
fuel, to move on and proceed, and of course I have a long way to go, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone. but, but this is a daily, always a daily
It is.
challenge for everyone, right? For
Yeah.
everyone, because I'm a strong ambassador that everyone has a very strong talent, very strong talent. Maybe we have not discovered, so it's a chance to discover our talent. But then talent by itself, it's not enough. You
No.
have to nurture it. You have to work on it. You have to study. You have to communicate. You have to go through different phases in order to be really at the level you wish to be. Talent is not enough. In sports, it's very obvious, right? You can have the most talented player in the world. If he doesn't put the effort, he will never be successful, that successful.
Yeah.
And of course, the opposite. Some other guy which is like medium, some other person who's like a medium athlete, a medium sportsman, if he puts the effort and he puts the hours and he puts the dedication, the commitment can go at a higher level than the talented one. So
yes. But that's all to do with mindset as well, isn't it?
Yes, like 100%. Yes, because the dedication and commitment, long-term commitment and long-term dedication is a mindset, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really enjoying our conversation, Tassos. I think we
Me too.
Coming to this point in our chat, I've got some quick fire questions that I want to sort of just finish off the podcast with. You can put a bit of meat on the bones if you want, but you know, there's some quick, easy questions for you. Well, I hope they're easy questions. Okay. They'll get you thinking. So my first question is, do you understand what makes you truly happy?
It's interesting, very interesting question. You know, if I can say on a real practical terms, something very quick that's coming is that when I wake up in the morning, without an alarm clock, and I get up from bed, you know, and I say, okay, now it's time. I can go do some exercise maybe, or I can have a nice breakfast, or I have to go on holidays at that day, or, you know, I have a nice, interesting meeting coming up or an interesting project this morning, and I'm really eager to go and enjoy the day and feel the day, right? And then in the evening, when I go to bed, I feel that I'm relaxed and I feel that I'm full of the day that I did, without necessarily being something that is like a crazy day or crazy full day, but at least I felt that I achieved something that day. I feel that at least, you know, I really enjoyed the day. I saw some people that I wanted to see that are close to me. I had a balance in my day. I achieved a couple of professional objectives, yes or no, depending, you know, but at least I wake up motivated. And I go to bed happy and full
and fulfilled.
Fulfilled. I think this is what I would say on a practical level. Of course, now on a more emotional level, of course, in order to be truly happy, you need to be fully aware of who you are. Coming back to what we were saying, you need to be another idea here that just came to me. If I am, I will I will make it a question, right? How happy and calm are we when we are alone? When we are by ourselves? Because either we decided to be by ourselves, or we have to be by ourselves for whatever reason. So how calm, how confident, how happy we are during this period of time, because it can be 1 minute, but it can be 1 year, or it can be 10 years. So this is I would say this is the measurement for me for someone being happy. How I wake up in the morning, how I go to bed in the evening, and how I feel when I'm alone.
Because alone time for me is so important. Just having that space to be and to contemplate and just not even think about anything sometimes, you know, or do something that I love doing, like reading or listening to music, or just, you know, just being.
Exactly.
And you're right, you know, you have to be happy with yourself to be able to do that.
Yes, if you're not, then self-doubt comes, then negative thoughts are coming up all the time. You know, the monkey mind does not stop. You cannot sleep at night, etc., you know, and all the more difficult conditions and situations, of course.
So this leads me on to my next question, which is, how good are you at being still to feel emotion, to feel how you might be feeling at any one time?
I don't know if I'm good, to be honest. I don't know. I can only share that because I do a lot of meditation as part of my holistic practices, and because I do also Kung Fu training, and I do also Qigong, the Qigong,
Oh,
the inner energy practice,
yeah.
from the directly linked to the Chinese traditional medicine. So I do a lot of meditation. So I have the chance to really be there, as you said, in this space by myself
Yeah.
with my thoughts or without any thoughts, which is very difficult to achieve without any thoughts. Maybe it comes for a few seconds only, and that's already a success. Right?
I
If
know.
we,
So many
if,
distractions.
yes, if we can manage these thoughts, even for seconds, not
I
to have these
know.
thoughts. Yes, but so yes, then emotions come up, and then emotions come up in this stillness and in these moments. There can be emotions of gratefulness.
Mm,
There can be emotions of forgiveness.
mm,
There can be emotions, of self, let's say, sufficiency, or self being feeling that you're okay. Simple feeling that you're okay, feeling that you're okay at this
mm.
moment. Feeling that your life is a full life, feeling that that you at least you achieve some things that you wish to achieve. For
Yeah.
whatever this means to everyone, of course, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I cannot say I'm good or bad, or I don't know what, I'm very good or very bad.
Well, it sounds
I'm
like
just
you're good to me.
yes, I'm just sharing, what I feel, and this is in the end, for everyone is completely different.
Yeah,
For
it
every
is.
person is different.
It is. Tassos, would you say that you found your tribe?
Yes and no. I'm still looking. Of course,
Yes.
now through the holistic coaching, I'm going much, much closer to the tribe, right? To like-minded people that we
Yes.
that we can share. We can share experiences. We can share emotions. We can share feelings. So yes, I'm going to closer to this. And I really have some few people, friends of mine, very, very close friends, since university or even before. Since when I was an athlete in swimming and water polo, like, let's say, at a high level competition athlete.
Yeah.
I still have some very, very close friends since then. We're talking about 30, 35 years ago. So if I can say this is my tribe, yes, this is definitely my tribe. And now
Absolutely.
we're
Sounds like
creating
your tribe to me.
yes, and now I create a second tribe. I try to create a second tribe with the holistic coaching
Oh,
environment. Yeah.
yeah. We all have different. I feel like sometimes, you can have different tribes, tribes depending on what you need at any one time. But you're right in saying that, yeah, finding people in that holistic arena that thinks like you and has that same sort of mindset and understands, the emotions and the feelings, your types of conversations, because yeah, that it is a different way of thinking. So yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And it is an ongoing thing. Your tribe will grow, and maybe people will come and they'll leave from your tribe, but it's being mindful that you are building that tribe around you, so which is really good.
Yes.
Finally, do you love yourself unconditionally?
Oh, that's an even more challenging question. Well, I can reply as following. What is loving oneself unconditionally? For me, I would say it's having the self-awareness that we are not perfect,
Mhm.
that we have flaws, right, in the system, in our
Yeah,
system,
yeah.
everywhere, in our minds, in our emotions, in our body, we have flaws. So we have maybe weaknesses, which are opportunities at the same time,
Mhm.
right? And by loving oneself unconditionally, it would mean to me that I have the self-acceptance to understand, what are my strengths, what my weaknesses, what I need to work on myself, and accept them, love them, hug them, and nurture them,
Yeah.
right? To really to really bring me to whatever next level I want to be as a person, right? So this is this is again an ongoing process, like we were discussing before, right? It's never, for me at least, this never stops.
No.
Never stops. And if we're talking about this on a spiritual level, it really never stops.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
you know, I say this all the time. Loving yourself unconditionally doesn't mean that you're perfect. It just means that you know that you're a work in progress, but you love everything about the process that you are going through and you are aware of it.
Yes, and in the
And
end, isn't it about a positive and compassionate relationship, with ourselves? Because if we're not positive about ourselves and compassionate to even
yeah,
forgive, I enjoy
yeah,
and adopt self-forgiveness,
yeah,
right? How we will move on?
exactly.
How we'll be able to live among other people, among other human beings, and be really happy in the end. So it's
Yeah,
part of the happiness. It's part of the
yes,
happiness.
exactly. Tassos, thank you so, so much for being my guest
I
today.
thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. And for everyone who is listening to this podcast, you know, I say it every time, but I'm just so blessed to have such amazing guests that I feel find me. These guests, they find me, and they are just the right people to be here. And so I hope that you listening to this podcast are feeling inspired. You are ready to maybe take even tentative steps into examining what your life is like and how you feel about your life. So, Tassos, where can people find you? I will share links that they can find you, but where can they find you?
Amazing. Thank you very much, Paula. Appreciate that. So the easiest way is to find me in my website, which is it's my name, tassoskotzias.com. So it's TASSOSKOTZIAS.com. That's the easiest. And I will be happy to offer you, because of our relationship and our podcast today, I will be happy to offer them a 30 minutes free consultation call for whoever wants to book a call, right? And I will be happy to provide any support needed and explore maybe, what are the challenges that they face in their everyday lives.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. And to everyone, I will be back next week with another amazing guest. But in the meantime, keep being the true you. Bye, everyone.